The bigger question we're looking at is how the Bolsheviks, a small group of elite revolutionaries, were able to take over the entirety of the Russian Empire and set up a totalitarian regime, one where they had total control as a party over everything. And obviously we've looked at the October Revolution, we've looked at the Russian Civil War, the different sides, and we've also thought about what happened in the Russian Civil War with the different sides and who was able to win and why they were able to win. So what we're going to do now is go back to their propaganda, the two different sides, the reds and the whites, and we're going to think about what the best examples of propaganda are from these different sides, just kind of recapping a bit on our knowledge. The first thing you need to do as a reminder then, on each of the worksheets, on the red worksheet and on the white worksheet, there is a box at the top which asks you to just briefly recap who the main members were of the groups and what their beliefs are. You'll find 3 examples of propaganda posters on both the red and the white poster. Some of them are looking at why the opposite side is bad, and some of them are also then looking at why their beliefs are good. And you have to select the best one out of these 3 in your opinion and explain why. And where you're going to do that is you're going to do that on the bottom of the sheet, which is in this yellow box here. You're going to copy and paste in your propaganda poster and you're going to explain why. And I'll show you my example in a second. I've selected an example, a good example, really good example of white propaganda in my belief, and I'm going to now show you why I think that. So if we take the first detail on our source then, we have the Grim Reaper. So here we have the Bolsheviks represented as the Grim Reaper. And this is clearly sending a message from the whites that the Bolsheviks are bringing death and destruction to the villages that they have. Now, this is based upon the way the Bolsheviks have treated the peasants. Now, you may well have read that the Bolsheviks tried to be fair. They tried to get their soldiers to pay for food. But obviously not all peasants were happy about that. So the Bolsheviks need to feed their armies. So they send in the grain requisitioning squads. Now, this is made up of the Cheka, which is their secret police, who are pretty brutal, the communist youth, and also the Red Army kind of grain requisitioning squads as well. So this is representing clearly that the Bolsheviks are a very negative influence coming into your village. You can see that by the horse treading over the dead bodies. They've got no care for the dead bodies of the people. Now, in 1921, their policies led to a massive famine in the Civil War, to the point where some people were even resorting to cannibalism because they were that desperate and that hungry for food. You will also see very clearly in this image the villagers are running away because they're very fearful. Okay, people burnt their crops, they buried things. They would rather bury and burn everything and cause famine than actually hand over their crops to the Bolsheviks, to their grain requisitioning squads. Now in Tambov, which is southwest of Moscow, they had initially opposed the whites, and the farmers were really dissatisfied with the Bolsheviks' grain requisitioning policies. So they kind of set up their own cavalry unit. They got several thousand of people to join that. They got 20,000 men in their army. And the Bolsheviks obviously didn't like this rebellion against them. So they called them bandits and kulaks and sent in 100,000 members of the Red Army to shoot all suspects and all rebels that they could find. Now, they were that harsh that they even ended up using poison gas against them. And it can kind of maybe link with this propaganda poster, but you could also say that that's storm clouds rolling in when the Bolsheviks are coming into town. So clearly the message that this white propaganda poster is sending in is that you should fear the Bolsheviks when they're coming into town. It's a very good propaganda poster, very clear, very easy for people to understand.